Welcome back to the wonderful world of Disney.
And to all, a good night. Oh, hi, I'm Michael Eisner, head of Walt Disney.
Hello and welcome to How to Be an Icon. I'm Jared Jones and I'm joined, as always, by Donna. How are you doing today?
I'm very well. I'm definitely not got a tiny little cold.
You've really got like it's unfair to say freshers flu.
I'm not a fresher.
You're not a fresher for one. And two, it's not that bad. It's
No, I
just-
really have free sample to cold.
Yeah, it's a real like mild version. It's like Cold Light, you know. You've not paid for premium.
Tune
cold.
in next week when we have to not do an episode because you go, well, the consumption
It
quickly took Donna.
Yeah, it got her in the end.
I'm lying in bed like Ava Perón, just about to die.
Yeah.
But no, I'm very well. Doing good. I'm excited about this episode.
Yes, before we get into this episode, just want to say, if you haven't already, please give us a review on your podcast platform of choice, whether you are on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Leave us a comment down below as well, because we are also on YouTube. We really, really appreciate it. And share this round with your friends. You can also join our Patreon. It is currently free. How to be an icon. Oh, no, I've got it all wrong. Patreon.com/how to be an icon. Patreon.com/how to be an icon.
HTTP :
Yes, because you can get access to our post show, which is going to be coming up right after this, and also our Spooky Club, which starts this week. We're talking all about Resident Evil 4, the best-selling and best one of the franchise, in my humble opinion.
Find out why Jared's very biased in that opinion.
Yes, you sure can. But today, our episode is all about, we really worried when we started this show. We were like, we don't want to just talk about businessmen. That's not what we want to do.
So much so, we barely talk about businessmen.
So now we barely ever talk about them. So we have actually gone back and we are talking about a businessman. And it ties in quite nicely with the previous episode of ours. If you haven't already, after this episode, go listen to our Walt Disney episode because we're talking about former Disney CEO Michael Eisner.
When you wish on Michael Eisner doesn't quite fit. I can't finish it because Disney will sue us.
That's beautiful. But
That's the only thing I had prepared
That's
today.
all you-
That's all I've got was to do that.
Really,
Thanks, everyone. Tune in next week.
What do you know of Michael Eisner?
I know he was the CEO of Disney during like the Disney Renaissance period. And I know he did a lot of very awkward to camera bits to like promote the parks.
Yes, he
and things
did.
like that's what I've seen him do. He does one with Fozzie Bear and Fozzie Bear's mother. And he's the only person I've seen with a Muppet who does not believe the Muppets are real.
Yeah. So when he came in, did, you know, like how Walt used to do the specials. to
I'm
camera.
Uncle Walt.
Yeah, doing all that. He was like, I'm going to do those to like really establish myself as the CEO of this company.
What if a man who looked like a plumber with very little charisma tried to do Uncle Walt segments?
And everyone was like, Michael, that's a terrible idea. And yet he persisted, and it was like, these are awful, please stop. So
there's something very charming about them because now CEOs are trying to be cool.
Yes.
And trying to be hip and being like, oh, wow, we're doing a live stream. We go, he's at least like, welcome to Disneyland.
Yeah. No, he is such a brand of CEO that we don't have anymore. And we're going to get more into it.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I will start by saying that a lot of this episode has come from James B. Stewart's book, Disney War, which is like, if you love Succession and what were the emails that Kendall and Roman were sending to one another? Like, it's that level of detail of like how in nitty gritty it gets into of the corporate world of Disney. It is like, I love all of it. So for me, it was like absolutely perfect. It was like the most incredible resource that anyone could ever ask for. I also did watch Defunctland as well, which talks a lot about like the theme parks and stuff, which was again quite helpful. We'll get onto a little bit of that going forward. But yeah, no, really do recommend. It's not for everyone. I will definitely say it is not for everyone. It is very, very specific of, you know, corporate America And if you love any of those kind of like business type situations, it's perfect for that. But yeah, it's James B. Stewart's Disney War.
Oh, that's so exciting because they're, especially mentioning Succession, there is something sometimes like Shakespearean. It's like there's dynasties and kingdoms and like all of that kind of rests on all of its shoulders. Yeah. So like there is a drama and an intensity to it, but I don't know what revenue means.
It's a lot of that. It's a lot of like very, very corporate stuff. And it's a lot of men that get mentioned who are called David and Frank and Jeff.
Jared, are you telling me that in the 80s and 90s there was a lack of diversity in corporations?
Well, I will tell you about one story that actually I didn't put in here. Michael Eisner had a bit of a habit of just like sort of hiring people a bit on a whim, which we'll come into.
Love that.
Love that.
Can't wait till we get to do that.
And he hired a man called David Hightower, who was an African-American man. But he was suspected of working for the CIA. And even while on Disney's dime, he would go and have these like trips all over the world and would just sort of be missing in action. And then they're like, this guy's definitely working for the CIA. And he had
can't accidentally suspect someone. It can't be like, oh, no, I'm like I work for like Deliveroo.
Yeah, no.
It's like, no. Your activity is highly suspicious in a way that can only mean that you work for the CIA.
Yeah. So
what a life, working for Disney and the Culinary Institute of America.
Potentially. I don't want to get sued or anything, but that was what was put forward. But before we begin, as we start every single one of these episodes, what is Michael Eisner's favorite drink?
Money.
Yes.
Can you drink money?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I couldn't find an answer to this question of what Michael Eisner's favorite drink was, because he is, at the end of the day, he's a boring CEO. No one is asking him that question.
And we are not in the point of Twitter anymore where we could definitely tweet him and get an answer.
Exactly. However, I do have a fun little game for us to play.
Ooh!
And I'm going to give you a list of cocktails that are available at Disney, but one of them is fake.
Okay.
Which one is the fake one? So,
did you make up the fake one?
I did make up the fake one.
All right, hit me with it.
So the first one we've got a s'mores martini.
Okay.
A creepy mudslide. An avocado margarita. A Crossroads Cadillac margarita. Or the Duck Duck Raz. Which one of those is not real?
So, I'm going to say the s'mores martini and the avocado margarita are real. So Disney food is like very known for being very out there, and they actually, for their parks, invest an awful lot of money to get these, and especially now with like TikTok and virality. So I think those two are real. I think the Crossroads Cadillac might be real because a Cadillac is a cocktail.
Yeah.
I think, what was the second one?
The creepy mudslide.
I think it's that one, but I also know that I'm wrong because I want the duck one to be real.
Well, the good thing is they're all real.
I thought so. Oh!
There we go. They were all real. Thank you for playing, everyone.
No, they all sounded real because as soon as you said it, going, I'll be able to guess the...
Yeah.
I was trying to think of the things they would have been attached to in the park because like they will all have certain...
Apparently, if you ask anyone, the avocado margarita is either the best thing you've ever had or the worst thing you've ever had.
It's the same with the blue milk in the Star Wars land. Have you seen it? It's disgusting.
Yeah, it looks disgusting. And I was going to put the $5,000 cocktail on there, but I wasn't going to get into all that because I think it's ridiculous.
I do enjoy, and this is a real guilty pleasure of mine, I know I'm not doing super well emotionally if I start watching reviews of theme park foods.
Yes. Anyway.
Hit me with it.
Let's jump right in. Michael Eisner, born the 7th of March, 1942 in New York City.
New York.
His mother, Margaret, whose family founded the American Safety Razor Company, which is like a big, like the biggest, was at the time the biggest competitor to Gillette. And that was founded in 1906.
I like the safety razors.
Yes. Well, just what it says on the tin.
As opposed to danger razors.
His father, Lester, was a lawyer and regional administrator for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Michael came from a very, very successful family, as I said
I
about.
can tell, you know.
Yeah. He was raised Jewish and grew up in Park Avenue, Manhattan.
Ooh, nice area.
Yeah, very nice area. He was very, very kind of rich. He came from good stuff.
Yeah, you can. He also looks like the son of a man called Lester.
Yeah. He graduated from Denison University in 1964 with a degree in English. So, you know, he's gone to uni.
Wow, guys. And it proves that a degree in English can get you anywhere. You could be Michael Eisner or a podcaster.
Yeah.
Shoot for the moon.
So he ends up getting a job at the television network ABC and ends up climbing up the corporate ladder and eventually ends up the head of Paramount Pictures. He produced several movies while there, including Saturday Night Fever, Grease, the Star Trek film franchise, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Flashdance, Beverly Hills Cop, and Footloose. Also putting into production very successful TV shows, Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, Cheers, and Mork and Mindy. So,
Oh, I've not heard of any of them.
no, none of them.
No, that really obscure. So he's
Yeah.
like really starting small. Like, man, that's like a hell of a rap sheet.
That is one hell of a rap sheet. Like,
And you're dealing with Robin Williams' early career.
yes. So that's where Michael Eisner has come from. We're not going to go too into his like childhood history because it's not important.
He came out the womb a CEO.
Yeah, basically, yeah. He came out in a little business suit with a giant 1980s mobile phone, and like that was him.
He's got a lot of business cards.
Yeah. So, what's going on at Disney at this point?
What's going on at Disney at this point, Jared?
So, I mean, if you have listened to our previous episode, and I do recommend that you do on Walt Disney, you'll kind of get a bit of an idea of this. But the Walt Disney Company has been struggling a little bit since Walt's passing in 1966. The company did have, like, it wasn't, you know, unsuccessful, but it wasn't exactly like thriving either. It didn't have like the 60s and 70s and 80s, sorry, were not great decades for Disney.
They were making a lot of live action stuff. Their animated stuff was very directionless. Without Walt, it was, you know, none of it's particularly good.
Yeah, the parks were still popular, but they were kind of on the lower end of like sort of movie studiodom at that sort of time. And there were talks about them being bought out by a bigger company, you know, potentially, yeah. And in 1983, the company was being led by Walt's son-in-law, Tom Wamsgans. No, sorry, I crossed that out. Paul Triple H Levesque. No, cross that out. No. The company was being ran by Ron Miller, who was married to Walt's oldest daughter, Diane Disney. He wasn't exactly built for the world of business. Like, we say that Michael Eisner comes out fully formed as a CEO. Ron does not, because he served in the army and then became a professional football player, but had to quit after being knocked unconscious during a game that Walt was watching. And Walt decided to be like, look, do you want
that guy?
He's like, do you want a job at my company rather than like sustaining several brain injuries whilst dating my daughter?
And just being like, hey, we haven't invented CTE yet, but I just like can't watch that happen to you.
I just don't think that that's good for
You should.
for my my son-in-law.
And it's not good for my image either
Yeah.
to watch you just like eat her. So do you want to like tidy up my office
Yeah.
and just stay out of trouble? It seems like a very like gracious thing, but everything I know about Walt Disney is just like, just stop doing.
I just don't need that. Yeah.
You're embarrassing me.
So yeah, it's safe to say he was not really the man for the job. So in 1980,
But Walt's also been like, you can do it. And he's like, I don't think that I can or should.
there were other like CEOs in between times, but yeah, he became CEO in 1983. He was let go in 1984. So he was not exactly.
And this is probably not a fair comparison, but it reminds me of those like European princes that are like 8 years old when the king dies and they go, you're the king now. And you're just like, okay, so for Disney, more glitter, more magic.
Oh God, you can tell he's had several brain injuries. It's really started to show. So yeah, in 1984, Michael Eisner was hired as CEO of Disney.
And the other guy's like, oh, thank goodness, I can just go back to like running.
He was a bit of a left field choice though, because normally Disney hire internally. They are not known for hiring out. That is not
they
what
love they're all a family.
And he wasn't the type of guy that Disney would go for. He had no real nostalgia for the brand. He'd never watched any of the Disney classic movies. He just hadn't seen any of them. He was like, a little bit of a snob. He's like, oh, I know Broadway, but like, I don't know Disney. He had a bit of that.
I totally get you. He's in that social circle of like, what do you mean television?
Yeah. He'd visited the parks as a young child, but didn't really have any kind of strong attachment to them. Like, he wasn't like, oh, it's the most magical place on earth. He didn't really care for it, which in the past would have just been like an absolute no from the Disney board. But they were really struggling to find someone. And they were like, well, look, this guy has made so many hits. We kind of need to go for this guy. Before leaving Paramount, Michael Eisner writes a memo that has become like very, very famous because it is really his like corporate like image. This is the thing of like, it really sums him up quite well. We have no obligation to make art. We have no obligation to make history. We have no obligation to make a statement, but to make money. It's often important to make history, to make art, to make some significant statement. We must always make movies, and if we are making entertaining movies, at times we will reliably make history, art, a statement, or all three. We cannot expect numerous hits, but if every film has an original, imaginative concept, then we can be confident that something will break through. His thing is, I want to make money, and I've got ideas. That is the most Michael Eisner thing that you can say about him.
Yeah. Wow. That's really interesting because it's not. There's a way of reading it cynically, but I don't think it is. Of just like, if we make enough stuff, more stuff will be good.
Yes, that is it. That is 100% it. That he is there to be like, look, I've got ideas. I don't have to be, I'm not going to go out to create a masterpiece. I'm going to go out.
It's not my job to.
Yeah, it's my job to create something, you know? So he's a creative guy. We're going to start like now. He's in Disney, and we have to introduce ourselves to the three big players of this game. It's four, including Michael, but we've got Frank Wells, who is brought in as Disney president, and he is Michael's right-hand man. He is the man he'll get the job done. He does the dirty work.
He knows where the bodies are buried.
He sure does. That he's if we're casting it in succession, he's the Jerry.
Yes.
Yeah. We've got Jeffrey Katzenberg, who he's brought over from Paramount, and he's brought in as chairman. Now, Jeffrey is like, he makes the things run. He's the hamster on the wheel a little bit.
Yeah,
he is putting the things in motion in that, like,
cars are getting booked, people are in places.
He's the creative force that is kind of like, you know, Michael's a big picture guy. Jeffrey is the one who'll make it work.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And then we've got Roy E. Disney, who is Walt's nephew and son of Roy O. Disney, who is Walt's brother. And he's brought, obviously, already on the Disney board. And he's set out as head of animation, which was sort of just seen as a bit of a like, there you go.
There you go.
Have a fun little department head. That's
you have Disney as a name, so we have to give you a job.
Yeah, a little bit. Like he's sort of seen as a bit of the gatekeeper of it all.
Okay.
Because he's got the Walt, you know, the Disney name.
Yes, and they do really try to keep someone with that name around as long as they can to keep the like.
And also he bears a striking resemblance to Walt. Like he looks,
does he?
Yeah, he does. He looks so much like Walt, like more than he looks like Roy. Oh,
interesting.
Yeah, interesting. So Eisner has quite the task at hand to turn Disney around. And there's three sort of big parts of the business. I am, by the way, summarizing this and making this a lot more simple than it needs to be, but because this is a podcast that could be like 10 parts if I really wanted it to be. But I'm giving you the, you know.
You can join our Patreon and listen to all 10 parts.
Oh, God, I don't know if I could.
The way you looked at me, they're like, no.
So, yeah, there's like the big parts of the business, which are the theme parks, the studios, and then sort of extended parts of the business.
Yes.
So, like, you know, other such things.
Like merchandising, like the television.
Yeah.
All of that sort of thing.
So he manages to turn them around quite quickly with some pretty simple, very simple ideas that you just go, oh, okay. So the theme parks, it was probably like one of the first and easiest problems for him to solve because they were still very popular. People didn't really have that many issues with them. So he just decided, well, I'll just charge more for them. People are quite happy to pay it. People aren't like going like, oh, it's too much money or anything. So it's like, well, yeah, we can
increase it.
We can, yeah. And they did some like cheaper expansions, like adding more accommodations, and so that they could charge more for like packages and stuff.
Yeah.
And rather than hiring out for that, Eisner was like, well, why don't we just get the Imagineers to do it, who are the Disney engineers and designers?
Yes.
It's like, why don't we just get them to design it?
They
And why don't
design
we-
everything else.
Yeah, why don't we just do it all internally? Like, we don't need to hire out for this. So they start building more properties. They start putting the prices up. The park attendances still keep going up. And
when
they
you
just,
start getting these really crazy, like gorgeous hotels that they have, some of them are really elaborate and like,
yeah.
and they match the parks because they're all designed by the same people. Like
So it's like, oh, well, that's a super simple fix of this. They'd also looked into and started international expansion with Tokyo Disney, which came in 1983. The thing about Tokyo Disney was that it was co-owned by the Oriental Land Company, which was kind of a bit of a like 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You're not having to put as much money up front to build the park, but you are sharing in the profits. So it's kind of a bit of a catch-22 for them. It's cheaper in the upfront, but you're losing out in the
potential profit in the long term.
Potential profit. And so, you know, but people quite like this agreement. Eisner is not like, he's like, if we do it any more international expansion, which we will, we're going to pay for it all ourselves. And but we're going to keep it on the cheap. We're not going to go, you know, massively over budget. This will change in future. And get ready for me to say
a project going over budget?
Yeah. So the studios were a bit more of a challenge. Animation is what the company was known for, but they'd become a bit stagnant in recent years. The way Disney operated then was that they would release a new animated feature on a 4-year cycle. So every 4 years, you would get a new animated feature. And then in the 3 years in between, you'd get a re-release of one of the Disney classics.
Yes.
So you'd get a re-release of Snow White or Cinderella. So the thing that they really wanted to do was completely change that. And the last movie that they did that was under this old Disney kind of mindset was The Black Cauldron, which came out in 1985.
Which, woof, a big old mistake in and of itself. That film is a mess.
It took 10 years to complete.
Yeah, and no one liked it.
And yeah, it wasn't a huge hit. So they changed it around so that they were going to have it to be that there was a new animated feature every single year. And the way they did that was by just cutting back on the amount of detail and changing up the sort of techniques that they use to animate things. It would still look great, but it was not going to be as highly detailed as like some of their previous movies. And the first movie to get this sort of treatment in 1986 was The Great Mouse Detective.
Oh, which is a really underrated Disney film. I like that film quite a lot.
Yeah, it's quite fun. But yeah, no, it was received quite well. And Eisner had a system when releasing movies of what he called singles and doubles.
Okay.
Which is referring to baseball. So a single in baseball is where you run to the first base, and a double is where you run to the second base.
Okay.
But you're not aiming for a home run. You're in...
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're not going to be swinging them out the park. You're going to be...
It doesn't have to make you all of the money. We need to make some money.
So he came up with this philosophy at Paramount. And he's brought it forward to the Disney live action stuff. And he's basically cutting the costs where costs can be cut.
Okay.
In like ways that actually do make sense. For example, you've got 3 men and a baby, right?
Everyone's favorite.
Everyone's favorite. It's a weird concept. It's just like, sure, throw it out there.
Yep.
But we're not going to spend a bunch of money on it. We're not going to get Hollywood actors. We're going to get TV actors. We're going to get Ted Danson and we're going to get Tom Selleck. They'll quite happily do
a feature length.
Yeah. And then you've got other movies as well, like Pretty Woman. We're going to cast this relatively unknown, Julia Roberts, and we're going to get character actor Richard Gere. And then the rest of the cast, it's TV actors. You know, it's Jason Alexander from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
We're not spending massive money on starts because we don't need to. The idea of the movie is what sells the movie.
Yes.
And even with sort of bigger movies that they are spending more money on, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which was an extremely expensive movie and a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
And Steven Spielberg originally wanted Harrison Ford to play Eddie Valiant, who is the main character.
That's such a different film.
It's such a different film, isn't it? Like, that's crazy.
I love Harrison Ford. I think he can do no wrong. I don't think that would have worked the same.
I don't think it would have worked the same
Because
either.
I just don't believe he can convince me that he thinks that rabbit's real.
But Eisner ends up pushing for Bob Hoskins because, again, character actor.
Fantastic choice. Like
A great choice. And yeah, just cuts a massive chunk of the budget down. The other thing that they would do is that they would cast people when they were kind of on a bit of a down point in their career.
Mm-hmm.
So Robin
You could lowball them.
Yeah, well, this was it, right? Yeah. So Robin Williams was cast for Good Morning Vietnam just after he'd left rehab for a cocaine addiction. So
he was addicted to cocaine.
I know, isn't that crazy? So yeah, and it was like
I both see it from like a pricing standpoint, but that is feels a little bit like, yeah, you just got a rehab. I reckon we can like knock a zero off the end of this.
Yeah, they did the same for Bette Midler as well. There was a joke in Hollywood at the time that when you were leaving the Betty Ford Center, which is like the rehab, when you're leaving the Betty Ford Center, a Disney rep would be there waiting to sign you up for the project. Just like, and you'd get in a car and go straight to Disneyland to start.
I guess on the other hand, though, it's got to be kind of reassuring that you go, well, at least I can like get a job once I get out of rehab.
Yeah, exactly.
Right side.
But this was a strategy that paid off massively because the budgets were very modest.
Mm-hmm.
So it meant that, you know, any profit was a big profit kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they were just going for these like sort of concept movies that were like pretty, you know, interesting ideas. The concept sold the movie. You didn't need a massive star to sell it.
And look at all these stars that you're launching
Exactly.
as well. Look at what a service for the community you're doing.
Exactly. But yeah, it's a very, very sensible approach for filmmaking. This will change.
That's the second one for you keeping count at home.
Yeah. Finally, like other business. So one of the big successes, which is like, again, out and out, massive success, was merchandising.
Oh, boy.
So obviously they'd done merchandising before. They were doing deals with retailers. However, Eisner figured, well, I can cut out the middleman of this. I can sell directly to the customer.
Yeah.
I'll start our own line of stores. So that's how you get the Disney stores. Again, massive, massive money spinners for the company.
Oh, huge.
That's a huge success. And by 1997, there were 747 stores worldwide. There are nowhere near as many Disney stores now.
Oh, yeah.
But that cannot be blamed on Eisner. That is just, you know, changing trends and things like that.
In retail, like there's just kind of fewer stores like that in general. But Disney stores used to be so magical to go in. They went in with the ethos of like it needs to be a little bit of the park.
Yeah, that was it. And again, it was all the thing of like most of them were designed by the Imagineers. So it's all like, you know, keeping the brand consistency and stuff like that. They had other business ventures, including the purchase of ABC Television, the ESPN network, and the Weinstein's film company, Miramax.
Oh.
So, you know, it's a pretty big one.
Yeah. You're including a lot of things there.
The other big thing that Disney got into was the home entertainment market and their VHS collection. So the original idea of this was that Disney were going to release their classics for $80 a film so that people couldn't afford them.
Yes.
The only places that would be able to afford them were video rental stores.
Yeah.
So you'd be able to keep the brand prestige and, you know, it would be available for people, but you wouldn't be oversaturating the market.
Yeah,
you would still keep that air of like, ooh, with
exclusivity.
Disney. Yeah.
They were so weird about it for so long. They really pushed against it. I heard something once that they really were about Betamax for a hot second. Everyone's like, don't, that's insane.
Yeah. It's the thing of like the problem with it was though is that it did limit your audience.
Yes.
You know, it did really cut it out. So they came up with, and if you're someone who looks at our age kind of thing, you're probably going to remember this, the Disney Vault.
Oh, I remember the adverts. You might get onto this. The Disney Vault adverts are some of the most manipulative marketing I have ever seen in my life. And I remember seeing them as a kid and seeing them as an adult. I go, how were you allowed to put this on television?
Yeah, so the strategy is, if you didn't know, is that they would release their movies on VHS for a very short, limited window. And once they were gone, they were gone.
You could not buy them.
They would go back in the Disney vault, so you wouldn't be able to buy them. And this is the other thing as well, of back then, you didn't really have as much of a second-hand market. So so it was like,
you weren't saving them, you weren't like copying them or recording them.
No. The first movie to get this treatment was Pinocchio, mostly because it was considered a bit on the lower rung of like, well, if this flops, it doesn't really matter. But it went on to be the best-selling VHS of 1985. So it was like a huge success. It was the thing of they kept the brand prestige because there was an artificial scarcity to it, which meant that you could get these really, really great titles for like a good price. But you weren't oversaturating the market.
And people would run out to get them because I remember the one I was remembered was for The Little Mermaid. And it is a father and a daughter. And this little girl is 4 at the oldest. And she's like looking at the cardboard cutout in the store. And she's like, wow, I love The Little Mermaid. And the voiceover's like, well, it's only going to be here for a few more days. And then it goes back in the vault. And she's like, but Papa, we can watch it. And he's like, no. If we don't buy this VHS right now, you won't be able to see this for another 5 years. And she like starts to cry a bit. So the dad's like, it's all right. I'll buy it for you because I love you.
Yeah, and they were almost kind of treated a bit like sort of antique type things of like, these are collector's items.
These are not a big deal. Like they were numbered.
Yeah, they were numbered. I was looking at the Pinocchio release and it's like they go for thousands on eBay currently. So yeah. But yeah, no, artificial scarcity and high quality in our home video releases. That's what's going to make this work.
And every single Disney VHS would start with an advert about warning you against piracy.
Yes.
Being like, you don't want those like bad, smelly pirate DVDs that don't work and might even poison your family. They go on for so long. They give you examples of them.
Yeah, but no, this home video strategy is working. This will change in future, you'll be glad to know. That's what we're going with the business. We're changing things round and it's going pretty well, you know?
Really bold.
It's going really well at the moment. So let's get into some of the players that we've got in this game.
Okay.
Jeffrey Katzenberg. So he is there with Eisner. They work together at Paramount, but they have a bit of a strange relationship. They worked together, but they were not friends. It was a purely professional. Yeah. They'd have dinner together every Monday, but at no point did they ever become like friends type thing, which I kind of find of like, man, you must really just like not get on with the like, something about this person does not click with you.
I cannot, no matter how hard I try.
Yeah. And you're having dinner every Monday, like, and that's not like, you can't even get a like mutual ground on that. But they were kind of cut from the same sort of cloth. They were like they were both ideas guys. This was the thing of like Katzenberg and Eisner, why they worked so well together, was that they bounced off each other in such a really good way of that they were ideas guys and they could make it sort of work.
And they still didn't become friends.
That's
so interesting.
They would have these, what they would call gong meetings, which is based on the idea of the Gong Show, which again, you know, for our younger listeners is kind of a bit like Britain / America's Got Talent with like the X's, like we buzz to be like, no, get off the stage. Like,
yeah. So
they would tell producers and scriptwriters to come and pitch 5 ideas and be like, right, pitch it to me. What you got? And they'd be like, a story, a Hans Christian Andersen story about the Little Mermaid. They're like, no, too close to splash. Get it out. Not interested. And it would just be like every single idea that they'd be like, no, get rid of that. One of the ideas that was pitched was The Little Mermaid. And like I say, that was rejected. Another one, which was like apparently a real like last ditch, like, oh, I don't even know. The musical Oliver, but with dogs. And they didn't gong that. They were like,
oh,
okay. And yeah, that went into production with a bit of retooling and they changed it from dogs to cats. And that's how you get the movie Oliver and Company.
A needlessly tragic film.
I've never seen it.
I got it on VHS for a Christmas.
Yep.
As was very customary at the time. You would always get like one Disney VHS for Christmas. It does start with a box of kittens almost drowning.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't as good as the Christmas that we watched All Dogs Go to Heaven too.
But yeah, Katzenberg was the film guy. He got things done. He would every morning have lines outside of his office for people with questions. He had 2 secretaries to deal with all these people and all of his phone calls, and he always had a Diet Coke in hand. Like, he was going from place to place.
He is business.
Yeah,
Like
he is business. He is making things happen, but he's quite abrasive and he's a bit impulsive. He took the song "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" out of The Lion King and only put it back in after Elton John had a real backlash to it. And was apparently furious because he's like, it's the best song in the movie.
I was going to say, I genuinely thought you were going to say tantrum.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did a little bit.
I mean, that's fair.
But they did recut it so that it was back in a bit more of an appropriate place. So it was like...
It makes sense.
He just rubbed people the wrong way. He had very few friends on the Disney board.
It sounds like he has very few friends in general.
Yeah. Roy Disney hated Katzenberg, thinking that he was just unprofessional and he took way too much credit for Disney's animated success because Roy was head of Disney Animation. So he's like, oh, my department is the one that did great. Like,
yeah, but like your department title is just the name on your door.
Yeah.
You've been sat playing with a Newton's Cradle all morning.
Doesn't matter though. It's the name and what's the name of the company? Disney. But Katzenberg had quite the contract. As part of it, he would get 2% of all future projects that he worked on. Now, to give you an idea of what this kind of is, tell you of some of the movies that Katzenberg had a hand in. So you got The Little Mermaid, The Rescuers Down Under, Beauty and the Beast, which was nominated for an Oscar, Aladdin, and The Lion King. So 2% of all of the future earnings plus merchandising, that would be one hell of a lot of money for Katzenberg.
That's a lot of money because a handful of those are Broadway shows, they're live action remakes.
Yeah, it was...
I don't know how they work out to that extension that far, but like you're still getting summit of something in there.
Yeah. So 2% of all of that.
That's pretty tasty.
The other thing about Katzenberg was that he was ambitious. He was not going to sit and wait around. And he had been eyeing up the thing of becoming Eisner's successor.
Yeah.
And Frank Wells, who we will get onto, who is Eisner's right-hand man, he wanted to take his job. The thing about Frank Wells is that he's a businessman. He's the point guy. He's all business. He is there. He's not an ideas guy. He's the man who gets stuff done. Like, he would do a lot of Michael's dirty work. If someone needed to be fired, you'd be getting a visit from Frank. You would not be getting a visit from Eisner.
That's fair.
But Eisner loved Wells because Wells was always happy with the position he was in. He was never going to stab Michael in the back.
Yep.
He was never going to try and overtake him. And he was just extremely loyal to Michael Eisner. So
some people realize you don't have to be king. You can get a pretty full-time job.
Yeah.
As like assistant.
Yeah, that's it. So Eisner we're in the 90s and Eisner's calling this the Disney decade of the 90s.
Yeah, which I don't think we can disagree with.
And like I say, The Little Mermaid, The Rescuers Down Under, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, Pocahontas, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, Mulan, and Tarzan, which we now know as the Disney Renaissance.
Yeah.
So that's huge, right?
If you ask most people to name any Disney film, they will likely name one of those.
Exactly. And Disney made some very smart plays in 1995 working alongside this new upstart animation studio called Pixar. They went on to create...
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah. Went on to create Toy Story, A Bug's Life, and Monsters, Inc.
Yeah.
And acquiring Miramax, who would go on to produce Pulp Fiction and The English Patient, and among many, many others.
Many other things.
So Eisner was really proving that smart creative thinking was the driving force behind success. That your smaller calculated risks, your modest budgets, great ideas, that was what is gonna make your business successful. But beyond all of these great successes, there were some pretty big failures.
Yes.
Euro Disney.
Wah, wah.
This could be an episode in and of itself.
Euro Disney's fascinating.
Because its failure to launch is just like one of the most interesting things of like, oh God, right? So first off, location. They wanted to expand to Europe. And this was their first cause for concern, was that they went for Paris. Because Disney had two main places to kind of go to. One was Paris. The other was Spain. So they were going to go for either Barcelona or Alicante, which is like,
a big tourist site, especially for like British tourists.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And European tourists in
This is
general.
the thing, yeah. The Disney higher-ups were really pushing for Alicante because they understood it as it's the Florida for Europe, in that it's where people go to vacation. So they're already going to be there. They're already going to want to be, and it's warm. You can guarantee the weather a lot more.
Yeah. Way less gators.
Yeah, than Paris or Florida,
No, Paris and its gator problem is well documented.
But Eisner wanted Paris because he thought it'd be more attractive and more classy for the American tourist. He knew very little of the French and their ways with their culture and
it, oh boy, it shows.
And their, I'm going to put air quotes, workers' rights. Didn't know any of that.
All of those workers' rights that their entire country's built on.
So immediately it starts going wrong. Eisner demands that all meetings be done in English, not French. Which
Strike one.
immediately pissed them off. Disney hired Robert Fitzpatrick to be the head of Euro Disney. He was an art curator who spoke French, and that was basically all they needed to be like, well, yeah, that's French enough.
He must have been so happy the day he got that job, and every day after it only got worse. Honey, I'm now head of Euro Disney.
He says of Euro Disney, Robert Fitzpatrick, we didn't come in and say, okay, we're going to put a beret and a baguette on Mickey Mouse. We are who we are. And it's like,
But you
sort of did, though.
You kind of did.
So the project went massively over budget. They did stupid things like building the castle out of real stone.
I love this. I think this is so funny.
Because they were like, well, the French have real castles, so they're going to know that it's fake. So they're going to have a higher standard of what they think a castle should be. So we're not going to build it out of fiberglass. We're going to build it out of actual stone.
I will say, though, it is likely the most French response in the world to go, well, it's not even a real castle.
Well, yeah.
It's made out of fiberglass. I think that is them going, what can we do that they're not going to make fun of us for?
So it was going massively over budget. They ran the projections of how they thought the park was going to go, but they used American data of American tourists.
And this was a mistake.
It's led to, big problems because American tourists will eat on property. Like, they don't care.
They are very, very different from even British tourists. American tourists are incredibly different compared to European tourists are.
Who will quite happily bring a picnic to, like...
Happily insist upon it.
Yeah. And plus, the other thing was that you're in Paris. So am I going to be here having my manky little churro when I could go on the train for 40 minutes and be
in Paris?
Yes, a culinary city that, known for its food. Yeah. Why would I ever stay here and eat here?
The French have exceptionally high standards for food across the board.
Yeah. So it's just like, why would you even try on that level? American tourists will also just buy souvenirs. They will buy, so many Mickey Mouse hats. And
you get one. You choose one thing. That's your souvenir.
Yeah, Europeans may buy one thing if they're feeling a bit pound notish, is what I've written.
For international listeners, Jared, pound notish?
Pound notice is when you're feeling a bit sponny. You've got you feel like you've
got some money in your pocket. It's weighing you down.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, well, I've got to spend it. So
you're the only person I've ever heard say that.
What, pound notice?
Yeah,
that's a bit pound notish of you. or feeling a bit sponny. The French just also hated it conceptually.
Yeah, obviously.
They hate the Anglosphere. They want no part of it. So
yeah,
they wanted to remain culturally French.
Yes.
But yeah, Parisian director Arnaud Mushkine called it a cultural Chernobyl, which is
not dramatic at all.
I mean, it's it really did stick. And Jean Cao, who is a French writer, said, "It's a horror made of cardboard, plastic, and appalling colors. A construction of hardened chewing gum. Idiotic folklore for obese Americans."
and
the other one that
I can't disagree with him.
The other one that absolutely gets me is newspapers writing about cultural contamination and the risk of turning youth into glassy-eyed half-wits.
Look, The Little Mermaid's not that bad.
And the whole thing was just a total disaster on opening day. They were only 25,000 people showed up.
Yep.
Because they were like, no, don't come on the first day. It's going to be too successful. We don't want the crowd to be like too full.
So then no one showed up.
So then no one showed up. Yeah. No, like I say, 25,000 people for a park made for 60,000. They had to close one of the hotels during winter of 94, and they were in real danger of it going bankrupt.
Yes.
It was only saved after a cash injection from a Saudi prince. That was the only way that it was able to stay afloat. So,
Man, when are we going to get our cash injection from a Saudi prince?
hey, you know, the Riyadh Comedy Festival, we can go to a square and do our bit.
Do better laugh room.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when it rains, it pours, I guess. It's a bad time because, I should be a bit more somber about this, but on the 3rd of April, 1994, Frank Wells was killed in an extremely unfortunate helicopter crash.
Dude, helicopters are so dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't know why rich people insist upon them.
It was a complete shock, came completely out of nowhere, obviously. It did, however, create a bit of a power struggle at the top.
Yeah, because now the guy who was like the best for that job is now gone.
Is now gone, yeah. So Katzenberg assumed that he would be getting the role. Eisner didn't end up giving him the position because he was like, I just don't think he's good for it. I just don't.
And Jeffrey went home and he was super chill about it. He was like, look, I guess I just wasn't the right person for the job. I'll work on my soft skills and come back. He definitely didn't like scream and shout and destroy everything around him.
We'll get on to that. The position ends up going to Michael Ovitz, who is an interesting person in and of himself because he ran a top Hollywood agency and represented Tom Cruise, Dustin Hoffman, and Kevin Costner. It's just a few of the names.
Dustin Hoffman.
He's also the person who discovered Steven Seagal as he was his Aikido instructor. And Michael Ovitz sort of My Fair Lady'd him to be like, this guy could be...
This guy's great.
This guy's great. He could end up being... So yeah, Putin has Michael Ovitz to thank.
I lived in the Himalayas. I do jazz music. I can't wait for us to do an episode about Steven Seagal because he is an icon.
Oh my God.
But like, not a good one.
But yeah, so Katzenberg, furious, leaves and starts his little company called DreamWorks. Again, you may have heard of it.
You may have heard of it. And he
Steve...
definitely didn't dedicate an entire career to being like, Disney suck.
Yeah, a little bit, But yeah,
Shrek's not a direct response to...
But yeah, him and Steven Spielberg start that. He also sues Disney in a very public, very messy, very long lawsuit over his 2% bonus, which he ends up winning and is awarded $250 million.
Nice.
Michael Eisner then falls out with Michael Ovitz after a year as Disney president, and Ovitz, who's left his very, very top agency, is now very upset because of his loss of reputation and damages to his brand. He's awarded a massive severance package, though, that is including $38 million and $100 million worth of Disney stock, which the shareholders were extremely unhappy about.
Yeah.
That he did 1 year's worth of work and made out with like nearly $150 million, which then led to another lawsuit between the Disney shareholders and Michael Eisner, which lasted for 10 years. In 2006, it was found that Eisner did no wrong in offering the package to Ovitz. But again, it's a terrible, terrible PR disaster.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. It's a lot. Dealing with like lawsuits like this also mean you're not able to look at what your company actually does.
Yes.
It like slows everything down because you're not able to dedicate yourself to ideas and producing things because you're going, lawyers.
Yeah.
That's how that works, right?
That is how that works. Well, again, this then leads to other problems because we have now rising costs.
Things get more expensive.
Things get way more expensive. So the successful strategy of the singles and doubles approach had fallen by the wayside. In animation, because of Jeffrey Katzenberg, who started a rival animation studio, he knows exactly what the Disney animators are getting paid. So he's offering massive, lucrative contracts to Disney animators, which meant that they'd either leave or Disney had to pay the animators more, which meant that budgets grew significantly.
Yes.
Then we're sort of entering the event movie era. Titanic is like the big one that is cited. So studios are pushing for big event movies with big names attached to them. So you've got Con Air which is $75 million budget.
Oh, love Con Air.
Inspector Gadget, another $75 million budget. Armageddon, $140 million budget.
Yeah, and they become huge. There's like the massive marketing campaigns around them.
Yeah.
They've all got singles that are attached.
Yeah, Pearl Harbor, $140 million. So it's just getting more and more expensive.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just causing so many problems because they're having to raise the money to make these things.
Mm-hmm.
In an attempt to do this, Eisner's decided to greenlight several straight-to-video Disney animated sequels. The first of which was The Return of Jafar, Aladdin 2. The movie cost around $3.5 million to produce.
Damn.
And it was made by Disney's TV department, so the animation
Yes.
is way lower quality. But it made $180 to $200 million. But again, that was right at the beginning. This was like early in sort of like 92, 93. So the thing of like, oh, well, it's Disney, so it's very, very high quality.
Yes.
But it's the law of diminishing returns. It really does affect Disney's reputation. It makes them seem very, very second rate. That they're just releasing all of like Cinderella 4. Oh no. And
The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2. You're beautiful on the inside. I hate that film. That film is absolute garbage. It looks like the Zelda CDI games.
Pocahontas 6. Back in town.
She's in London and she's crying over a bear.
Yeah, you've got all of these like just trash movies. Beauty and the Beast, how Belle got her groove back or something like that. So it's not looking great. And heading into the 2000s, Disney is having a string of animated failures. You've got Treasure Planet. You've got Atlantis, The Lost Empire.
And look, guys, I know people love to do the revisionist thing now and be like, actually, those films slapped. They didn't. They didn't sell well. People didn't watch them.
No, they didn't. They really, really didn't.
They really stood out post-Disney Renaissance because you go, oh, they're weird or they're dark or they don't quite fit in with like the thing you've been doing previously.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Exactly. And then we're getting massive, expensive expansions to the parks as well.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the California Adventure in Anaheim, which is a complete and utter failure.
Ugh.
If you want to find out more about that, watch Defunctland on Superstar Limo, one of the worst rides that's ever been made.
I love knowing how they reuse some of those puppets, though.
And then the Hong Kong Disneyland expansion, which is another failed international expansion that was done really on the cheap. And they did that by being like, well, look, we'll make it like a fairground. So it's designed to be cheap. It's designed to look like trash. Like that was the whole thing of it.
Yeah, Hong Kong Disney. So I think we've mentioned this on the show before. I've been to all of them but the American parks. And I would say Hong Kong is definitely the most underwhelming one I've gone to.
Yeah.
By the sheer fact, because of airspace limitations, the castle is about like a 2-story house.
Well, yeah, that and also it's way cheaper to do it when it's really small.
It's a lot cheaper. We're also in a big typhoon area, so we don't need like massive weird shaped buildings.
And it's sort of becomes, again, it's a big old failure. The one really big thing that like the shareholders were like pointing at, being like, what do you mean? Is the failure to acquire Pixar.
Mm-hmm.
Then studio head of Pixar, Steve Jobs, who is the man for Apple, the Apple man. Was like annoyed at Disney because they weren't being able to, they were keeping the rights to the characters, but they were arguing with like, well, no, they're Pixar characters, not Disney characters. Yeah. And Disney were like, no, I think
they belong to us.
Yeah. So Pixar were really looking to become their own like independent studio and keep 100% of the profits, whereas Disney would just get like a distribution fee.
Yeah.
And it became this really big back and forth battle because Eisner just didn't see the value in Pixar.
Right.
He didn't see that, Buzz and Woody were like two of the biggest characters that they had.
He doesn't see them sitting alongside the princesses and like Mickey Mouse and all of them. Like, and they're as like well designed, they are as iconic.
Yeah. And Pixar were rumored to be taking offers from other distribution partners, although no formal discussions ever really took place. And this led to our good friend Roy Disney, who comes back on the scene, and he is here to overthrow everything because he's like, I'm done. he launches the Save the Disney campaign. And his main grievances were that he thought that Eisner micromanaged too much. He's getting involved in like the nitty gritty weeds of things rather than big picture stuff. He'd failed in the parks department. He'd overspent and turned Disney into a soulless company, which, like, Roy, I'm sorry, but like, you'd hate what it's become now if that's the case. Like, if you're...
it is ironic now that we're talking about how soulless Disney is in the 90s, and you go, no, because now you look at it and go, wow, good, you guys were like making stuff.
The other thing was that Eisner had avoided putting any kind of succession plans into place, which people were a bit like, well, you can't stay forever.
And he's like, but I can try.
Yeah, exactly. There was a shareholders meeting in 2004, which ended with a 43% vote to remove Eisner as the chairman of the board. He would stay on as CEO, but in 2005 announced that he would be stepping down, and his successor would be Bob Iger, who had been working at Disney for a while. He'd been part of ABC when they got acquired. And on the 30th of September 2005, Michael Eisner resigned as member of the board and chief executive of Disney. He was no longer part of the Disney company.
No, that Succession music starts playing.
Yeah, it really was. He went on to do other things. He worked within media. He was an executive producer on BoJack Horseman, which is very interesting.
That is interesting.
And he's also owns Portsmouth Football Club. So, fair enough. But yeah.
Do you think he cares about?
I think
cares is the wrong. Do you think he had ever watched a game of theirs before purchasing them?
That one I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, right.
I'll get a bit more into it when I get into like what I think of Michael Eisner. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you very much for listening. This is a bit of a longer episode that we're doing.
Oh, this is so interesting though. Business.
But yes, if you have enjoyed this episode, please give it a 5-star review on whatever your podcast platform of choice is, be it Apple Podcast, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. You can also subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/howtobeanicon. Get access to our very fun, spooky Halloween month.
Thunder noise.
Yes, where we're going to be talking about Resident Evil 4 this week, which I had so much fun talking about. It's one of my favorite video games, and I absolutely love it. And you can also follow us on social media. We are on Instagram at howtobeaniconpod. Follow us on there and share this around amongst your friends. We would really, really appreciate it. But Donna, the question is Michael Eisner an icon?
Is compared to a lot of the other icons we have, like Madonna.
Yeah.
I think less people know Michael Eisner's name. I think everyone knows what he did.
I think everyone
knows the product of what he did.
Yeah.
Like, he is, after Walt really shaped what Disney looks like, especially to people our age.
Yes.
We don't have that connection to Walt Disney.
Yeah.
We don't really have that connection to Michael Eisner, but we do to those like products.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're being nostalgic about like the Disney store and manipulative VHS adverts and stuff.
I think that you cannot, like, Walt Disney is credited with a lot of like, a lot of productions that if you listen to our Walt Disney episode, you'll know that he didn't necessarily have that much of a hand in.
No.
Michael Eisner had a lot more of a hand in
the
like day-to-day of movies and things like that. And so I think it would be unfair to say that he is not an icon in that sense. I think he is a creative businessman.
Yes, I think he is.
He is the last of a generation that we just do not have anymore. He has the thing of being like, he is such a creative ideas guy. And we just don't have ideas guys in business anymore. They just don't.
No, everything, we like to get really analytical and into the numbers. We're always trying to be efficient. And like, what worked before, we'll do that again. It's like, I think this shows that sometimes, as gross as it is, you need to throw shit at the wall because the bits that stick are actually really good.
Yeah.
pieces of poo.
Yeah. But he turns around a company that could quite easily have been acquired. And I think if he didn't come on board, I don't think we would have the Disney that we have now. I don't think you'd have
For better or for worse, because now they own everything.
Well, yeah, Bob Iger, who, is still in charge. He was in charge for a while and then left and then came back. Michael Eisner's biggest concern with him was that he's too much of a numbers guy. He's not a creative.
Yeah.
And I think that is absolutely true. That is, that has come to pass, that it is like Bob Iger is the most competent, boring, he is not, he is going with the most safe approach of well, Star Wars is successful, so we'll buy Star Wars.
And as a result, we have a Disney that feels a lot more like the Disney people were upset about in the 90s. All of those comments the French are making, you go, I feel it feels more relevant now.
Yeah, he is Roy saying about it being a soulless company. I'm like, well, Roy, come on. Look at Disney now. If you're going to say about a soulless company, it's
things like we were talking about Disneyland Paris and the Tomorrowland area. Originally was really gorgeously designed around Jules Verne Shaw novels.
Yeah.
Now it's all Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's the same in every other park. Those areas are now Star Wars themed. So the parks don't feel different from each other.
Yeah.
Because they go, well, this one made the most money with these things, so we'll put this in everything. And you go, it deters you from, it feels significantly less magical.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's definitely it.
I don't think IP is particularly
It's not creative. It's not
No.
it does well business-wise, but I don't think it is it doesn't really inspire much inside of you. It's not really there.
I don't think it gives you the most magical place on earth feeling.
No.
In the same way, because it's very cookie cutter and boxed and repackaged.
What would your lesson be from Michael Eisner?
Be the daughter of the person who invented the American safety razor, because that amount of money is going to really just help you in general.
Doesn't help you, yeah.
Make creative decisions as well as business ones.
I think that was going to be my thing of doesn't really again, being a CEO of a company, you'd think it's pretty charts and numbers, which it has really become.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not what made Disney the juggernaut that it was in the 90s.
Because I don't think Walt Disney could tell you how much money they ever made.
Yeah. I think the other thing is, for better and for worse, for Michael Eisner, have good people around you, because you know as soon as they leave that it becomes a problem. After Frank unfortunately passed away, it was
things do start to fall apart.
Things do noticeably start to fall apart. And Jeffrey Katzenberg, a lot of people got a lot of opinions on him. But again, I think he is the creative guy who could get things done that no one else quite could in the same way. And so I think having good people around you is always a good thing. Value the people that are around you, and just really come up with creative ideas to solutions to problems.
Look at what you've got and go, I have all these Imagineers.
Yeah.
You make the hotel. All of those are so simple.
Why are we hiring out when we could, do it all in-house kind of thing? We're Disney. There's a lot of things like that you go, oh, in hindsight, yeah, that's very, very simple. But no, it's not, because you go, well, we're Disney. We don't know how to make hotels. And it's
yeah, you do. You've built castles.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean you can't build a hotel? And it's things like that. And you go, and I think for Hollywood, that I know that they're listening, Hollywood, hi. Maybe go back to the singles and doubles approach. Maybe not every movie needs to be the biggest movie you've ever seen.
We talk about it all the time, in lamenting there are no mid-price comedies.
Yeah.
Or action film. Just nothing like that exists. So you don't get one that does rise to the top. You don't get Pretty Woman or Flashdance.
Yeah.
Because they never got made, because on paper you go, well, it's not going to make every dollar.
Yeah, it's not going to make all of the money. And where's the big star? It's you don't need the big star. You just need to if the idea is good, people will come.
Yeah. No, I think it's very interesting approach to business.
Yeah, and I miss it every day. But yes, that's this week's episode on Michael Eisner. Thank you so much for listening.
So much.
Yes, this has been a really, really fun one. Like I say, if you haven't already, give us a review. We really do appreciate it. 5 stars would be absolutely fantastic. Leave us a comment down below.
6 if you could.
Yeah, I mean, if you can.
Do you know what? If you figure it out, you win a prize.
Exactly, 6 stars. If you could also leave a comment down below. What's your favorite Disney movie? You know, I really want to...
Or who's your favorite Disney CEO?
Oh, who's your favorite Disney CEO? Mine's Ron Miller.
We make more magic.
Yes. No.
Thank you, Roy.
No, Ron. I think you've just got a brain injury, Ron. It's like
the mouse is larger than before. No, okay. Anything else from it? Nothing on our side.
Yeah, no, that's but yeah, thank you very much for listening. We have another fun episode next week.
We're gonna leave it as a little surprise.
I can't wait, but you know,
but we're gonna be bringing some stuff to life.
We sure are. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much for doing this, Jared.
You will. And Magic Kingdom home safe.
Michael Eisner safe, everyone.